Now, I think it's fair to say that Marvel Studios is by far one of the most failed Disney divisions to date alongside Lucasfilm. We already know that there are a handful of divisions over at the Walt Disney Company that's going through Bob Iger's cost-cutting measures, also known as his cost containment plan, which, by the way, is going to result across the board thousands of firings, and as well as a lot of other aspects such as budgeting cuts, marketing cuts, and everything that is going to deeply impact every single brand that Disney owns to date. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So as you all know, there has been quite a bit of drama surrounding X-Men 97, and this mainly has a lot to do with some design changes related to Storm and Rogue, as well as Morph becoming non-binary, and that is just the beginning. That's just the tip of the iceberg about what Bob Iger and showrunner Bo DeMeo are pushing with the X-Men animated series coming back to life in the form of this show, which is titled X-Men 97. Now, what's interesting about all of this has a lot to do with what they are actually doing behind closed doors with the continuation of the show as a strategy to expand it to justify their overall reasoning why they are going to be shoehorning in a lot of their DEI agenda-driven strategies to be thrown over some of the iconic characters. Let's get into all of this, shall we? Now, what's interesting about this, and what's a complete disgrace to the classic Marvel animated series or just the Marvel comics alone, is how Bob Iger seems to be very obsessed with literally degrading anything that fans grew up with, either in the 90s, the 80s, or whatever decade, you cherished Marvel content from. What's interesting, though, further, is that with X-Men 97 already gaining criticism after the showrunner, of course, and Bob Iger announced Morph is becoming non-binary and characters will be getting different backgrounds moving onwards. One major development has much to do with Bob Iger and Bo DeMeo's plans for the second season of X-Men 97, which is already being discussed with Kevin Feige. Now, one recent update to this ongoing scenario that is growing to be very delicate for Disney as we speak involves how Feige recently pitched an approach to the Disney heads and Bo DeMeo that X-Men 97 is to meddle with aspects of the multiverse in order to introduce a female variant of Wolverine and Cyclops in the second season of the show. Both Bob Iger and showrunner Bo DeMeo have reportedly already accepted this approach to move forward with plans for the multiverse to eventually be used as a way to justify their insertion of a complete gender-swapped version of Wolverine and Cyclops to enter into the 97 realm. Feige's plan is to essentially create unlimited scenarios for animated material that will provide Disney Plus endless possibilities to cater to a larger global audience. This is not to be mistaken with a female X-Men character, however, that is similar to Wolverine and/or Cyclops, but rather an actual female variant of Wolverine and Cyclops that are already being discussed between Iger and Bo DeMeo to fit into the second season to open the gateway to a planned animated multiverse, if you will, that will piggyback off of the nostalgia of the X-Men animated series animation style that will be layered over all of this. Already the voice actors of the show, such as the actors of Wolverine and Cyclops from the animated series, are already raising serious concerns to the Disney heads over this approach, as they disagree with Disney's approach to throw in their forced agenda and their driven strategies to move forward with a plan to shoehorn, of course, gender-swapped characters from different universes. Both Bob Iger and Bo DeMeo's argument recently was that since they are from another universe, that this would be a non-issue to the fans and/or customers, after they held the meeting that they discussed the future of animated material for the Disney Plus business model. The plan right now by Iger is to essentially continue all the animated series in the form of follow-ups, with a first season where the second one of each show basically will essentially up the ante of their DEI agenda to force all that into their content. Now, Bo DeMeo already is completely supporting Bob Iger's approach and the rest of the Disney higher-ups to double down on their usage of the multiverse, not just with the animated series follow-up shows, but also for Spider-Man 4 and other Avengers live-action movies to keep the endless possibilities intact that Kevin Feige pitched to both Bob Iger and the rest over at Disney. So guys, let me stop here for 1 second. Now, let me say one thing about this. The thing that X-Men 97 has going wrong with it is the fact that Bob Iger is taking advantage of the X-Men nature itself, alright? I know that a lot of people say these comments like X-Men has always been woke and all these things. Different people have different things that they say about this show, but what I have to say about that is that Disney clearly does not understand that non-binary, at least in Morph's case, never existed in the 1990s. In fact, it doesn't really even exist. We've never seen that in the 1990s. This is not to be inserted into a new background for that character or other characters alike. And just to kind of fill you in, basically, Bo DeMeo and Bob Iger made it clear that Morph was only the beginning. Different characters will be getting new backgrounds in X-Men 97 and the expansion of the show to make that ultimately clear. And that's going to impact a lot of fan-favorite characters. Ones that you grew up with, ones that are very iconic and inserted into pop culture. And it just goes to show you that Disney seemingly does not care about any kind of a ramification or consequence here. So moving on forward with that, alright, now, in addition to all of this, the concept of gender swapping and race swapping iconic characters are still heavily on the table for follow-ups of hit animated shows like Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Silver Surfer, and much more, like Spider-Man the Animated Series, by using the multiverse as the core of their way of shoehorning in such material. Now, though X-Men 97 will be more vague with their agenda, at least for Season 1, the plan by Iger and DeMeo is to provide the typical bait and switch with a Season 2 of the series. Already, Wolverine is mapped out by Disney to get mistreated, but not just in animated form, but also in live-action form. And by the way, we are talking about Deadpool and Wolverine, of how Hugh Jackman and some of his iconic scenes that were completed got completely deleted and axed, that featured wars like World War II, Vietnam, and even a mission during the Cold War that was shot with Hugh Jackman and his stunt double and Russian soldiers, World War II soldiers, and even heading into Vietnam. Basically, Ryan Reynolds recreated what we saw happen in X-Men Origins Wolverine and made it all the more violent. Bob Iger felt it was way too extreme, just to kind of put things together shortly there. So again, the fact that these are moving forward, all these discussions, all these conversations between Bo DeMeo, Kevin Feige, Bob Iger, to use the multiverse, not just in live action now, but to throw it in animated form, to push this gender swapping nonsense that people are going to reject. In fact, a lot of people have argued if there even will be a Season 2 if X-Men 97 Season 1 fails miserably. If it does, we'll have to wait and see. So anyway, this just goes to show you what kind of stage Marvel is at right now. It's not just impacting live action, it is also impacting the animated approach behind the scenes. Basically, what they are planning to do is to make an animated universe, alright, to kind of reset everything, to start things over in their own point of view that will be separate from the typical MCU. So overall, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.